Hello again. This time we are in Escalante, Utah. We'll revisit the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument, a long name for a truly breathtaking park that is largely unknown outside of the region where it resides. It's here we hike to a beach under a waterfall. Next, follow along as I get hung up in a beautiful box canyon. And no, I am not coming to you from the afterlife. Lastly, we offer some good old-fashioned advice from our own lessons learned. We arrived in the town of Escalante, having driven from Monticello, Utah. It is a small town of ranchers and farmers who benefit from tourism. Arriving here, it is easy to see why someone would want to live here. Our first stop is the visitor center, and we don't have far to go, as it is right across the street from where we parked our RV. With the passport book stamped, we begin to explore what the park has to offer. The park is managed by BLM and not the National Park Service, and because of this, some of the rules are different. For example, there are some locations where you can actually fly a drone to capture images. Is it just me, or does this creature look like Gollum from the 1977 version of The Hobbit?
Where is it?
In contrast to National Park Service visitor centers, here you get a lot of information about the many creatures living here. This is likely due to the difference in the BLM operating directives, where BLM manages the lands while the National Park Service protects and preserves its locations. Like most, we are well acquainted with Utah's Big Five national parks, but we really know very little about the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument, beyond its huge expanse. One of the first clues about the park is within the name, and is really comprised of a couple of distinct regions. Like the overlooked sibling in a family of football stars, this park has much to see, do, and be proud of. With Escalante as our base, a must-do activity here is the Calf Creek Trail. There is actually two trails along this creek. These are the aptly named Upper and Lower Calf Creek Trails. Their respective destination established the trail name preamble. The more traveled trail is the Lower, which is a somewhat easier hike, and at its conclusion is a beautiful 126-foot waterfall that plays out in a sandy beach area. This is the one we take, and it's a hike that we will remember for years to come. There are many sites along the trail that are documented in a trail guide that is tied to numbered points along the trail.
Earth tones.
Oh, so pretty here. At signpost number 8, look across the canyon at the base of a smooth cliff face streaked with desert varnish. Look closely, preferably with binoculars. You will see 3 human-like painted figures. They are red and wearing headdresses and holding hands. These 3 pictographs were created by the Fremont people who lived in this area from around 700 to 1300 AD.
Photo of fish.
See, in the Grand Canyon, they call this dinosaur tracks.
Should enjoy the fruits of life.
When you visit this park, this is a must-do 5-star hike. The next hike we are taking you on was recommended to us by the ranger at the visitor center. The first quarter of the trail is difficult to find and follow, and we'll show you one thing to look out for should you opt to hike this trail as well. At the 2-mile mark, the trail forks into 2 paths, each of which are narrow canyons. To the left is a more traditional narrow canyon, while the right is less defined. It is replete with color and shape. The key to finding the trailhead is to look for the 2 blue railroad car-like containers. Stop and park your car across the street from them. Exit your car and walk to the same side of the road as the blue containers. To the right, you will see this sign above. That is the trailhead. Following the trail early on is challenging because the trail once followed the riverbank and that has now collapsed. Beyond this point, finding the trail gets more difficult as we soon see multiple crisscrossing trails. We are constantly checking our GPS and we soon see we are about 50 feet off the trail. Stopping to investigate, we see the reason. Across the way is a stall where cattle are held. The crossing paths are those markings of where the cows have walked and have compressed the soft soil. Once we have moved beyond the range that the cattle are grazing, the trail becomes much easier to follow. We are visiting in early May and we don't see any rattlesnakes at this time, but others behind us have reported seeing those, so please be aware of where you are at. As well, there is no shade on this hike, and you should bring a significant amount of water with you. Please be prepared. While the trail does have a few carons, their usefulness is limited as they're not very visible as you're heading out to the trail. They are much more beneficial on the return trip. As with all of the Colorado Basin, this region was once underwater, and it is made up of sedimentary rocks that were deposited over millions of years. As the tectonic plates moved, they created the necessary force to push Utah up thousands of feet. Today, the town of Escalante sits at nearly 6,000 feet above sea level. The sedimentary rocks deposited over millions of years make up the stair steps of the Grand Staircase. While the colors we see are the results of these deposits, were it not for the erosion, we would only see the pink cliffs of the top rock layer, the Clarion Formation. Between the upward thrust of the plates, the waters of the Colorado and other rivers, and winds relocating deposits, the erosive process has created the natural artistic palette that we see today. The main leg of the trail concludes at a Y, where you can take either the left or the right path. We choose to take the left. This takes us to the trail, which is the more conventional narrow canyon. We hadn't advanced far into the first canyon before the wall colors and sweeping patterns exceed our wildest imaginations. After trying for better than a week to win a lottery ticket to hike the wave and getting buckus out of that wait, what we are finding here is a great alternative. Continuing to advance farther into the passage, it quickly gets narrow. A little farther along, and the windswept appearance changes again. At this point, the passage is very narrow, and the long sweeping lines have changed into short and sharp arcs. At this point, I stopped because I was getting stuck at the shoulder level between the sides.
Look at this. Look at all this. Going every different direction. Wow. Ooh, yellow in this. Oh, look at this.
With Patti, who is smaller and more agile, she continues on. After waiting for an agonizingly long time and not hearing from her, I back up take off my pack, and now, continuing moving sideways, I advance through the canyon. To my great relief, she soon shows up again and tells me
Then it just opens
that
up
just
again.
a little bit ahead,
Oh my
the
God.
canyon opens up.
Wow. Wow, look up there.
Back together again, we've exited the first canyon passage, and we are now headed down the second. We were amazed by the colors and sights of the first, and can't wait to see what we were told was a more colorful second one. I don't know what criteria establishes this as a canyon, but that's really unimportant, as the sights here are amazing. The layered patterns are breathtaking, and they seem to be everywhere.
So you can run it to the end. Yeah,
Sand is hard to walk in. This is much easier to walk up. Nice. Oh. I wonder if heaven can be prettier than this. Look at the what we were walking.
In spite of the troubles following the trail in the beginning, we gave this one 5 stars.
Why are the wheels so tiny?
size they were?
What a treat on the way home. A 1927 Model A. First year they come out. They advertised a top speed of about 65, and this one's humming right along with no problems doing 50 over mountains.
Awesome! Date night.
Date night, where we go into town, grab a drink, grab a bite, talk to the locals, head out, maybe catch the sunset, and take in a few of the local views and a few of the other sites within town. We are very grateful that you have chosen to watch our video, and we thank you. If you liked it, please hit the like button. If you want to see more like it, please hit the subscribe button. We appreciate all your comments, and we will do our best to quickly respond to any questions that you might offer. Our next video will cover our travel to Cedar Canyon, Utah. It's here that we visit Bryce Canyon and Zion National Parks.